Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. I do hope you're doing well. I really do hope that. And let's have a bit of fun, all right? We're making some new signings at Chelsea. We've got Gittens coming in, Joao, Pedro. We've got Esteval joining. We've got guys like Santos and other people coming in, and even Fabrizio Romano saying Chelsea are not done in the market yet. Lots of stuff can happen. Exciting and pretty crazy. We're going to speak today about how perhaps Maresca's planning on lining up with these new attackers. We know, like many top coaches, dare I call them a top coach or aspiring top coach, you see wanting to defend with 5 and attack with 5. In different iterations and different, shapes. We saw it with Conte at Chelsea, we saw it with Tuchel, and indeed we see it at times with Maresca. So we're going to try and make a shape in possession here and play a little bit on the home crowd platform to move players around. As you can see, no green screen today. I had some issues with the audio sync. Hopefully I've sorted that out, but let me know in the comments if it goes out of sync, and I'll have to look at that moving forwards. As you can see, I've got the Chelsea shirts behind me. Move these over a little bit. Try and get them all in. Yeah, man. Let me just move that over a bit more. Beautiful. Trying to get them all in frame. I've got loads more back there as well. I'll try and keep them in rotation. It's annoying they're so far away from me, so they're so much out of focus. But, it is what it is. This is how the camera's set up. Anyway, thanks for joining me. We're going to have a bit of fun today. Thank you to all of those guys who come back, hang out, watch the content, engage with it, like and subscribe. If you're yet to subscribe and you find yourself coming back to the content, why not drop me a sub, mate? You might like the content moving forwards. And of course, there is videos every day here on Football Therapy, my dear sweet friends. All right, so Gittens and Joao Pedro. Gittens has passed his medical. Joao Pedro is traveling to America from Brazil to have his medical with Chelsea. They're both signing for until 2032, 7-year deals. Gittens is 20 years old. Joao Pedro is 23 years old. So they're both young players. And they both like to play on the sort of left side. There has been speculation that the manager of Chelsea, Maresca, is switching to a different system. So we're going to play around with some stuff here, guys. So I haven't made this up as a formation yet. I've just put some players on. What I want to say is, obviously, goalkeeper for the moment is Rob Sanchez. I'd love to change it to like a Mike Maignan, but for the moment, we're not going to do that. Now, look, we're in possession. And if you look at the game against Benfica as evidence, because we know Maresca's trying stuff in the Club World Cup, in possession is a back three. We've seen it so much. So I'm doing that for the sake of this. In possession, a Cucurella, a left back will come back. I'm not doing an inverted fullback because we haven't seen that. In the last game, we played really well. We were dominant. We had loads of shots on target. And that was not Reece James or Cucurella inverting. That was the left back joining the attack and the back four becoming a back three, which we've seen lots before. Reece James in his Chelsea career has played right centre-back for Tuchel loads. He locked down Vinicius Jr. in the Champions League when we played Real Madrid, and they squeezed right up in possession. So it's a back three, Colwill as the left footer. I know he played in the middle sometimes, but I'm putting him on the left as a left footer here. And I'm putting Fofana. I know chance will be a fine thing, but he is still a Chelsea player. He eventually one day will not be injured, and he is an excellent footballer. And obviously he's a very good ball carrier, so he can be a good, even if he's not as good as like a sort of, Regista style passing centre-back as a Colwill. For the sake of arguments and the shape, I'm going to put him there. So that is our back three. Now, of course, we know Santos and Enzo Fernandez are seen by Enzo Maresca as a sort of attacking midfielder. And he will look to have 2 central defensive midfielders. And the obvious choice at the moment is Caicedo and Lavia. I know you've got the likes of Asugo as backup, and I'm sure you could play a different player there deeper, but we know in terms of profile, these are preferred players. Now, this is all I'm going to say for the moment. Now, you can switch them out if you want. You can put in your Asugos. You can put in, who knows, maybe we sign Jorel Hato as, although he might be doing this role up here. But for the sake of argument, there is your block 5 in possession, yeah? Now, this is where it gets kind of crazy because you attack with 5. Before we had it with wingbacks, Tuchel's front three plus wingbacks. Conte's front three plus wingbacks, and indeed Tuchel as well. But you also see these box midfields, right? So for the sake of this, let me just take off Gittens for the moment and bring in Liam Delap. It could be Delap or Jackson, but let's just say Delap. Chelsea's number 9. We know he likes strikers. So you will get a box midfield, right? With Palmer, say, playing in the right half space. We saw him playing in that sort of second striker left half space against Benfica. But let's say his preferred position is the right pocket, the right half space, because he's a right winger / number 10. This is where he wants to hang out. Now, this is the perfect opportunity for João Pedro to play in that left half space, creating that box midfield of Lavia, Caicedo, João Pedro, and Cole Palmer, which leaves you with width being held by a natural right winger, Neto, and then of course Cucurella. It's slightly more, he doesn't go as advanced as a Neto, but he holds the width and essentially creates the width on the left hand side there, and he's a very trusted, important, integral player, Cucurella. Now of course you can make switches here. Let's do that now. Neto could definitely switch out for Noni Madueke, who by the way could be sold even this summer. Delap could of course be switched out for Nicholas Jackson, and in certain situations of course you could be, for example, you could swap Cucurella for maybe like a Jamie Gittens, which will hold the left as a natural left back, but of course you will need to adjust accordingly there, and maybe, I don't know, maybe swap Reece James for an advanced a right back, and you play and bring someone out of the box midfield essentially. Or Reece James could go and hold the width on the right, but I'm not sure we will see that. Plus also we know how important Cucurella is in terms of being a senior player for Chelsea. So there will be opportunities when we see conventional wingers on both sides, and Cucurella either inverts or plays maybe as a left centre back there. There could be a time when we get Jarell Hato, of course. And in terms of other players, obviously João Pedro can be swapped for Chelsea's vice-captain Enzo Fernandez. That's the role he plays. It could even be swapped for an Andre Santos. Suddenly loads of options for the second striker role. Obviously as well, we've talked about it loads of times, João Pedro is a genuine striker option. So when Jackson's at AFCON, when, you know, Delap's overloaded, red zoning, or injured, or just unavailable for whatever reason, suspended, you can genuinely play João Pedro as a good option there. Of course, you got Noni Madueke, and you've got Pedro Neto, but Neto looks absolutely on fire at the moment, wearing the iconic number 7 for Chelsea. And Cole Palmer, obviously, will need to be rested sometimes, and you can bring in Esteval Willian, and this is the perfect role for him. We know he's a right winger / number 10, just like Cole Palmer. He's a left footer. He wants to play in the same way as Cole Palmer wants to play. So there's options all over the gaff there to create this sort of box midfield. Interesting as well, we've seen sort of like this kind of second strikery profile being used a bit more. People have speculated that we might see a different formation. We saw a conventional back four against Flamengo in the Club World Cup, which failed, you'd have to say. We got slapped up, by them even before the red card. And that was like a 4-3-3. So you could have this basically. And then what you could do is let's just keep Neto there. And you could have this essentially, and then you bring in a proper striker. Where is he? Delap. And suddenly you've got the width being held. Let's just bring this free a little bit more like this. Like this, the width being held by Neto, Cucurella going up, and then like kind of overloads on the inside left pocket. Obviously, this is where both of these players can do a lot of damage. Fernandez could be a bit more reserved. Obviously, as well, you could have an Andre Santos here, but a lot of people are expecting to see a João Pedro in a space here, a second striker sort of system. You could also see it in a kind of like a 4-4-2 at times as well. Not that Fernandez would be that effective there, but you can imagine there'd be more narrow, those midfielders. Cucurella holding the width, and Neto, conventional ringers, holding the width as well. So there's loads and loads of attacking options, and of course we haven't even done like a 4-2-3-1, which we might see. Of course, it would look like this. So there will be games where Fernandes doesn't play, and of course you could obviously see here the conventional right-footed, left-sided winger Jamie Gittens there. Width being held, Delap dropping in, combining with a probably more conventional number 10 than Joao Pedro, who's very direct. Let's just put an Esteval, because Esteval's long-term desires and designs at Chelsea is to play as a number 10. And, there's nothing wrong with having Cole Palmer and Esteval, two amazing talents, go at each other to start for Chelsea. By the way, I've just given him the 36, randomly here. So, yes, then you'd obviously get pushing right up. In theory, if it was a conventional back four, you'd have Reece James, but we know he generally plays more reserved. But we would like to see that. It would be interesting to see Gusto as well. We saw him play so well as a flying wing back. He could underlap behind Neto. But of course, Gusto has not been winning the confidence of Chelsea fans of late. But there is lots of options there for different formations in different shapes. People across social media have been speculating about a new tactics from the Chelsea manager, which is kind of fine. In a way, it's what you want, innovation, because they've seen a year of Enzo Maresca at Chelsea now, of pretty successful top four football, and they'll be analysing the games last season, especially at the beginning of the campaign, and he'll want to come out of something a little bit different. One thing I've been very impressed with is how this young team has become a resilient defensive unit that battle, have shown character, come back in high-profile moments as well. And generally, I know we had a failed experiment against Flamengo, but generally we don't get slapped and embarrassed anymore. We get nervy moments from the goalkeeper, which I still firmly believe we need to remedy, that we need to get a new goalkeeper. But generally, I always joke about how, as much as I respect Pochettino and understand he's a really great guy by speaking to people who have worked with him, I just don't like how he turned our defence into a brothel where anyone could score. Where, for me, that's the most un-Chelsea thing. Not the fact how he used to manage Tottenham. It was, we conceded record amounts of goals. We've sorted out our defence now, actually, even in the absence of some important defenders like Fofana, and indeed with Rob Sanchez in goal, making 5 errors leading to goals in the league, leading the league for that, which was mental. So we remedy that. The defence is solid. We scored a decent amount of goals, but that's probably where we could do a little bit better, score a few more. And the likes of Jamie Gittens, who hasn't posted insane numbers, but is theoretically his profile makes us better in terms of how he plays 1v1s. He's an excellent dribbler. Joao Pedro, again, profile, that sort of inside second striker forward. That, unlike Nkunku, we've seen him operate in the Premier League to a high level. I know a lot of you guys are still high on Nkunku. I am as a player, but I've long since let go the idea of him becoming a success at Chelsea. So these new players can add goals, even like your Liam Delap's. You look at a Liam Delap and look at the chances he got at Ipswich and what he converted, double digits for non-penalty goals, I think, which was, and if you scale up the chances and his conversion rate to what he'll get at Chelsea, those chances already are at 20 Premier League goals, and that's, obviously it might not be sustainable, always scaling up exponentially, but you'd also bank on the player developing himself and getting better. So the goals should be there. And of course, Fabrizio Romano suggesting that Chelsea aren't done yet in terms of signing players. But yeah, let me know what you think, how you think we're going to set up, who's going to play where. Also, let me know if you found this video interesting, this kind of spitballing, talking about tactics, player shapes, and, speculating, guessing, theorizing how we're going to look. Because I do think there will be innovation from the Chelsea manager. Yeah, let me know your thoughts. Thank you as always for liking and subscribing. I hope to see you back here soon. Take care of yourselves. Peace.